Hello and welcome back, future scientists. My name is Mr. K with Mississippi Public Broadcasting, and we're going to do a little bit of reviewing today before we move on to any new material. So teacher in the room, if you could go ahead, get this worksheet and pass it out to everybody in your classroom. It's just 10 questions. Y'all take 5 or 10 minutes to work on it, see what y'all can come up with, and then when you're done, come back to me and I'll review it on the board with everybody so that we're all on the same page. All right, I'm sure that didn't give y'all any problem, but just in case it did, I'm going to make sure to talk about every single one of these. So give me y'all's attention up here and we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling on this. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 says, which statement best describes natural selection? Okay, so what we want to do here, look at these options and which one do you think best summarizes natural selection? So let's start with letter A here. This says the best adapted organisms survive and reproduce. I think that's going to be our answer choice, so I'm going to go ahead and circle it. And let's just take a second to read over those other ones. So no, I don't think these other ones are really going to work. D's kind of close. D says organisms slowly adapt to their surroundings over a lifetime. So D's very, very close. If it didn't say over a lifetime, I think we might want to pick that one because natural selection and evolution really is just change over time, and that's what D is saying. But because it says over a lifetime, that's just not long enough to see any real evolution happen. When evolution happens, it happens over many, many generations, okay? Because those genes are slow, the gene pool is slowly being changed by the fitness of the organisms that make up the population. So A is going to be our best answer choice here. Let's keep it going. Number 2 says, what is Darwin famous for studying? So he studied evolution, but what animals were he really looking at? Well, from our first lesson of this unit, you might remember that he was studying these type of birds called finches. Finches are these little birds. They were all over a certain island chain. I don't want to spoil it for number 3. But what he saw in these finches is that the finches looked alike, but their beaks were all different. And the beaks were very suited for the diet that they ate. So if they were eating a lot of seeds and nuts, they had these big crushing, powerful beaks. If they were eating insects, the beaks of these finches were very sharp and needle-like so that they could pick them up off the ground. So that's what Darwin was really studying. He was looking at these finches and how the beaks were very suited for the diet that they were eating. Great, let's keep it going. Number 3 here says, which set of islands had a strong influence on Darwin's ideas? So remember that he studied these finches on the Galapagos Islands, okay? Try to remember these 2 finches on the Galapagos Islands. Those usually show up on the state test in some kind of way, so we really want to remember those, okay? The Galapagos Island is an island chain, so it's not just one island, it's a lot of small islands that are all near to each other. And depending on what island the finches were on, they had different food for the finches to eat. And so that's why their beaks slowly evolved to be best suited for the diet that they were eating. Great, let's keep this going. All right, number 4 here says, what is survival of the fittest? Okay, let's read over these and see if we can find something that we like. I like letter D here for this one. Let's go with letter D here. What is survival of the fittest? It says it is where the fittest don't die out and therefore reproduce and pass on their genes. So remember that evolution is change over time, and specifically it's change in a population over time. And so when we say survival of the fittest, in order for a population to change over time, what we have to do is change the genes that are in the gene pool. So if a organism is able to survive long enough to reproduce, reproducing is very important in this whole theory, okay? If an organism is able to survive long enough to hit the stage of life where they're able to reproduce and then have offspring, they're putting their genes in the gene pool for the next generation and altering what genes we might see in the next generation. So survival of the fittest does not mean how strong you are. It means how capable are you of surviving and then reproducing. If you reproduce a lot and have a lot of offspring, your fitness is very, very high. If you don't make many offspring, your fitness is very low because you're not changing the gene pool in the next generation. Great, let's keep this going. So number 5 here says, which statement best describes the process of evolution? Well, we should see something about change over time. Let's see if we can find this. Okay, I like this one, letter D again. The traits of a species can change over time. That's what we're talking about here, right? What is evolution? It's just change over time. Each of us are changing every single day. If you make a mistake one day, you're going to try not to make that mistake the next day, right? So you're going to change. That's what evolution is. It's change over time. It's a little different. It's change in a population of animals over a long period of time, not just a day or two, not even just a couple of years, but generations. We'll start to see these changes accumulate. Great, let's keep it going. So I got 6 and 7 here. This says, number 6 says, who developed the theory of evolution? Well, we really want to remember this guy's name, Charles Darwin, right? He developed the theory of evolution. Some scientists, some people say that his theory of evolution by natural selection is the best idea ever had, which is a pretty powerful statement. All right, number 7 says, genetic differences between organisms of the same species. All right, this is a vocabulary term I want us to know, and it's variation. So what is variation? If you look around the classroom right now, you might be in the room with a lot of different people. None of you look exactly alike, right? Some of you are taller, some of you are shorter. Your skin colors might be different shapes, shades. Your nose and eyes might all be different shapes. So there's variation in the population. That's good. We want that variation because that keeps our population strong, okay? And so that's variation, okay? Great. All right, let's keep this going, just a couple more. So 8 says, what did Charles Darwin observe in finch populations of the Galapagos Islands off the coast of South America? Well, what did he notice about these finches? There was something different about them. Let's see. So I think we want to go different species on different islands, right? So it's one finch, but they're all different species, and the main difference between the species is what their beaks are shaped like. And the beaks are shaped differently because they're all eating different foods, right? Great. All right, I got a couple more, and we'll knock this out. All right, number 9 says, what did Darwin notice was different about the finches on each island? Well, I kind of gave it away just a second ago there, but they all had different beak shapes. And remember, the shape of the beak was directly related to what they were eating, okay? And then number 10 says, why are advantageous traits more likely to be passed on to offspring? We should go with letter A here, because they are more likely to survive and reproduce. So this is the whole idea of evolution, is that if you are fit, if you reproduce a lot, you're putting your genes back into the gene pool, and you're making it more likely that that trait makes it to the next generation, right? If you don't have any offspring, then all of your genes, in a certain sense, are lost because you're not passing them on to the next generation. So survival of the fittest means that if you reproduce a lot, you're putting your genes into the gene pool a lot, and in the next generation, we're more likely to see those traits show up again because you had a lot of offspring and they're getting their traits directly from you. So thank you all so much for following along. Your teacher has some other work for you to do, so make sure to give that your best effort, and I hope everybody has a great day.